So Vertex has given a interesting way of doing what we've just done here, to use list comprehension, and has typed in square bracket, round bracket, float list 1 to 3 over 255.0, etc., etc., etc. Yes, that will work perfectly, and it's a great way of doing it in one line. But in terms of readability, especially for like showing people how it works, it actually takes longer to go through a single line of code than it is to go through 40 lines of code. So you're absolutely right. That is a very good way of doing it, and it will save time and memory, but it's not great for instruction.
I'll also show you and he's quite right there. This is from line 23 of a test that I did a while back. It obviously won't work in here, but this is list comprehension version of what we could do. In fact, it's a right breakdown of everything that I'm about to do in list comprehension. And as Jan points out there, that would take a while to go through. And you're quite right there, Vertex Rage. If you go ahead and use list comprehension, it can be nice and succinct and do it all in one go. However, for the purposes of teaching, especially beginners, I'm assuming that everybody out there has a tiny bit of knowledge, but not too much. That will just confuse most people as we go through. In fact,
I mean, I'm already slightly confused, but that's mostly because I deal with GD script rather than Python, and because I'm easily confused.
yes. So what this would actually do here is you go for I in the color enumerate the colors list, and then you can actually iterate through. So here we don't even have to go through each one of those individual things. We're actually doing a loop here to loop through each one of these RGB values.
Yeah.
So again, just trying to explain it out of context like that. But yes, list comprehension. If you've already got that skill set, brilliant, use it.
There's also an interesting thing going on where if you start a line with tuple power, um, Jan's brain immediately goes to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies song from the 90s.
Why not? I love it. So the
You're welcome.
next the next thing we need to do is normalize these values. Now, if I was writing this code by myself, I would be commenting here, separate out RGB. I'm actually doing this and talking through as I'm going, and I'm going to change it a lot later on. I'm not going to put those comments in because I don't feel it needs explaining, as it's very clear as to what we're doing here. Again, because we're just going through and we're doing one thing at a time. And the more astute out to there will go, well, why can't we just do int here and go comma 16 and that's the same as doing this later on? You can do. I'm literally doing it this way for complete noobs so that it's clear that we're doing one thing at a time. Next thing we need to do is normalize these figures here. And because we were going from 0 to 255, a total of 256 values, we can literally go R equals R over 255, and we do exactly the same for G and then B. Now, once we've done that, I'm not actually going to do the conversion from sRGB to linear RGB just yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start plugging these numbers straight in so we can use them in Blender and see what the actual outcome is. If we print these now, we've now got a bit of a mess, but we essentially have all of those values in a range of 0 to 1. So here we go. We've got 0.5,
Or
0.4, 0.5.
normalized, if you will.
Yes, that's exactly what we're doing in this case. I did have a look earlier if there was a normalize function that I could use, and then I realized that that's a bit irrelevant because you would need to know what your value range
I mean,
was
you
in
could
order
probably
to do that.
write a function that would do it, but well, first off, there'd have to be floats, and it would
Yeah.
have to know the range.
Yeah, exactly. So this caters for it because that is what the range is. Now, this is a magic number. This is a magic number. I could define at the top of my thing that we're using it's 8. Let me type properly. 8-bit color, and therefore our range. Actually declare it up there. Oh, to do it properly, and then type in range down here, and we could do hexadecimal. So we put in base equals hex, but I think that
I
would
mean, I
be a
don't
bit
think
of
you need
overkill.
to because you're using hex code, so you're clearly using hexadecimal.
Hopefully, I mean
I mean,
it's one of
unless you're
those
going to write
things.
this to also work with different ways of representing RGB.
Yes, exactly. Now, one of the things that I'm consciously not doing here at the moment is splitting things out into individual functions. Absolutely fine if you break things down into functions. I am just going to go through and make sure that my general script works. It's what I do first of all each and every time. When you start passing around values, it can be very easy to trip yourself up and pass around the wrong value or get the wrong thing in the wrong place. I prefer building things up like this. So this is a personal workflow more than more than anything. I make sure that everything works in a script form first, and then I actually think about what do I want to actually break out as a function? What do I want to be able to reuse later on? And in fact, I will use a function in this, as you'll see in a moment, that I don't want to do something multiple times. You could argue that this could be a function. In fact, yes, all of these could be broken out into individual functions. I'm not going to do that at the moment, but I am going to do a function later on. So I'm not shying away from it, but I do want to do it where it's where I believe it's going to be better to do.